Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, well today we are going to be replacing the front wheel bearings on my Raptor here. So I'm going to show you here what I found. We're going to do a little bit of inspection and then I'm going to show you how to replace them. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright here, so a couple of checks on your wheel bearings. So I like to do here, every time I service a bike at least, is just go around and do a little bit of inspection. I check on my ball joints and that stuff. I typically do a wiggle. What I'm getting on this one right here, it's hard to see, is it's clicking in and out. And I've checked this thing. I don't feel any slop like in the ball joints or like that. So I don't think it's that. So it appears like it's somewhere in the wheel bearings. But I just put these wheel bearings in here about 6 months ago, so that's a little concerning. I don't know if they're defective or not, but we're gonna go ahead and replace this, put it up on the bench, and we'll show you how to replace them there. Maybe we can see what's ultimately wrong with them. Before we jack it up though, we wanna go ahead and loosen up our lug nuts here, to make them easier to get off. We'll also loosen up our castle nut here, remove off the cotter pin, we'll loosen our castle nut there, and then we'll jack it up and then we'll pull the whole thing off. So let me go ahead and get that done. Okay, I got everything loosened up. We need to go ahead and pop our brake caliper off here as well. These bolts loosened up here. I gotta get the smaller one. Grab the wrong one. Let's do it this way. Okay, pull these things off. Be good to go ahead and get all the dirt off them anyway. Pull my little spacer off here, just to keep that safe. Boy, you can just hear this thing. It's like it's not got any grease in the darn stuff. So, yeah, and you can feel this thing rocking back and forth. So, something's defective with these ones. So I got this here loose. Let's take our castle nut off. I'm gonna go ahead and just take our little washer off here. And then with this just slides right off. Hopefully, maybe you might have to tap it just a little bit here. So it'll be kind of interesting to see here what's going on. So there's a little spacer right here that goes into, you don't want to lose that. But see, this is where, periodically there, especially if you're doing something critical like racing or something where maybe you're going on a super long, trip somewhere like that, you should periodically check these things. So, this one's feeling loose, but when you go in here and feel these, so last year, I'll tell you, I did the same check. All this stuff was tight. And it felt good just rolling around doing simple checks. But when I went in here and start physically check them, you could feel that they're bad. And this one's here, you can feel them rolling around in there. So they are bad. This one was loose on here. So this is a better way of checking them, pulling them off, checking them by hand. That'll keep you in good order. But periodic checks there, like on oil changes and stuff, just doing a little bit of wiggling and visual inspecting there to make sure you ain't got nothing loose here or loose here also helps find it there. So let me go ahead and get set up on the bench. And then I got this other spacer here. I might as well pull that out as well. There's spacers that go in both of these ones. I'll go ahead and pull this stuff out. We'll get on the bench and clean it up, and we'll start replacing these bearings. Pretty easy to do. Okay, hope you guys can see this here. So I got this cleaned up a little bit, got the big stuff off. I want to go ahead and start with pulling our seals out. So use a screwdriver, or if you got one of these seal pullers here, just pop them out like that. So let me see here what's going on. That's got the grease I put in it. Let's see what this one here does. Yeah, I always pack them with grease just to keep any water out, so that seems to be working. Man, terrible sounding. All right, so a little more of this grease out. Try to keep this off of your brake rotors if possible. It's going to get on there. We'll clean that off. Alrighty. So with that, yep, let me get set up here and we will pop those out. Alright, so I got my setup here ready to go. There's a little bushing that sits between the bearings there, and what you want to do is just kind of push it to one side and take like a punch or something. Here is a good way of doing it, and just kind of angle it to where you're on the lip of the bearing, and then we're going to hopefully just tap this right out. Hopefully, let me get all this stuff off so it doesn't fall. Okay, be very careful that we're not hitting our brake drum, or brake rotor. Coming out, I'm going to squeeze this up just a little bit here just to make sure I'm on those bolts. And once I get it down a little bit, I'll move those out farther apart. Okay, it's coming out pretty good. Okay. You see here, I got a big socket. Excuse my head here. There we go. Okay, this one out. So this is a little bushing that's in there, and you can just see all the mud and stuff that's gotten in there, despite the seals and everything else. Let's clean some of this stuff up. Ugh. Boy, that is just shot. All right, well, enough of that. Let's go ahead and stick this up on the vise as well. This one here, we should just be able to drive right out. I think I got a bigger punch. dry this right out. Okay. So we got that one there out. Yeah. Doesn't feel like it's got any grease. So let me go ahead and get these cleaned up. I'm going to pull these bearings apart and we'll look inside, see what it's up. Then we'll go ahead and start putting this back together. All right, not sure if you're going to be able to see this or not. Let's see here how close I can get. If you can see here, I can do this. This doesn't look, it's got grease in there. It's kind of nasty looking, but there seems to be some grease in there. It's loose, so I'm not sure what this one is. Here's the inner one. You can see this one here. Not sure if you can see it. This stuff's all dried. Nasty looking grease here. Look at this stuff here. So I'm not sure what's going on with this one here, but these are all shot, so it's time to replace them here. So again, let me go ahead and get everything cleaned up. Get rid of these things. We'll get set up. I've got some all balls bearing kits here, bearing and seal kits, so we'll get ready to put those in. And yeah, should be pretty quick and easy. Let me get after it. All right, folks, so first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to heat this thing up. I've got my big bearing here first I'm going to put in. And then I'm going to, I don't know, maybe I'll do the small one here. I'm going to heat this one up. I've got I'm going to start off with the bigger one, a bigger size, so I can get this flush. And then I'm going to get an inner thing. You either got to get a socket or one of these things that just fits on the inside to drive it down the rest of the way. So let me go ahead and get this heated up, and then we'll go ahead and get started. But I think I'm going to do that smaller one first now that I'm thinking about it. Looks easier. All right, I've got this heated up a little bit, hopefully. I'm going to stick this in. Oh, what the heck happened to my hammer? Just want to be very careful, make sure these are going in flush. Like that. Take this socket, which is the right size, drive it in the rest of the way. There it is, tapped in flush. We'll roll this over. Now, when we go to put this one in here, there's a couple things here we got to do. We have our tapered, little tapered spacer here. This has to go in first. Then this goes in. The taper goes toward the front, like that way, toward the front wheel. Then we'll put this in. But I'm going to go in here and put a little grease. I'm not going to try not to get any grease here, but I'm going to pack this with the grease, put some grease on the inside and the outside of this so it doesn't get rusty. Put some grease on the inside of that bearing, and then we'll get this thing heated up and we'll pop this big one in, and then we'll be good to go. So let me get that going here. All right, what I'm doing here, let's go ahead and show you that I got that spacer in right there. What I'm doing here is just forcing some grease down on the outside of the spacer and the hub, just getting everything as full of grease there as I can. And so that's just, it's probably not necessary. I just like to do that. I think it helps keeps the water out. So that's pretty good there. So let me get heating this up and we'll pop that other bearing in. All right, stick our big bearing here. Get a little bit flatter there. There we go. Good. Bigger socket here. Just tap that down in there. Voila. That is good. So, now that we got that in, I'm going to pop some more grease in here. Again, get it good and greasy. We'll take our seals here. Very gently Make sure these aren't too hot. Not very hot, so that's good. And we'll just push this down in there by hand, just try to, and then we'll pound them in there if necessary. Most of the time you can just press these in by hand, just like that. Put some grease pack in there. Pack a little bit more grease in. I just like packing as much as I can there underneath the seals. I think that just helps. Put some more down in this in here. Just make it a nice mess. Plop this seal in here. They're in good shape. Very good. Now we need our little spacers here. So I was checking these spacers here. So these aren't in super bad shape, but they're not in super good. This one's starting to get a little groove on it. This is something here probably over the winter time. I'm going to order some new ones of these ones, but I don't have any, and these are good enough to go and they'll last me the season. So I'm just going to plop those in, turn it over, plop these ones here in. And that is it. We're going to take this back over to the bike. We'll get set up and we'll put this back on. Pretty simple and easy job though, thankfully. At least there's one thing that's simple. All right. So I got my hub cleaned off here. You can see more grease. Obviously I'm a grease fanatic here. You know, as bad as this thing looks, I wash this thing constantly. It's just, these are the conditions that I race in, and this stuff just gets everywhere. So I got to clean up my brake row there before I put that on. But I put grease on everything. So I want to start off with here is we have this thrush washer that goes on up against here. Actually, I should have put a little bit on that side of this washer as well. Good and goofed up. And from there, we're going to slide our hub on. Nice and easy, just goes right in. Now, it may be a little bit tight. You got to get that little bit of a, you got to get that that little spacer in there line. I'm going to go ahead and grease up my outer washer here. I'll put my outer washer on, like so. And we'll stick our castle nut on. There we go. And this is saying 50 foot-pounds is what mine's saying, but check yours. Just keep an eye out where my hole is. I can probably go one more hole. Yeah, just like it. All right. Got that on. Go ahead and put our powder key in here. Bend that around. Bend this one around. There we go. Good and tight. Voila! One hub bearing replaced. So that's it. Gonna go ahead and clean this up. I'm going to clean up my brake caliper. I'll clean up my brake rotor to make sure there's no grease or anything like that that's got on there from all the grease I was put on. I always put a little bit of anti-seize on my threads here, as well as the threads holding. You can see it's got some on there, as well as the threads holding the brake rotor. That just keeps them from getting corroded, and they come off easy. But that's it. That's how to put wheel bearings there on a Raptor. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and pretty simple and easy to do. But always check these things because they do get bad, especially if you're racing in nasty conditions there. Again, these ones are only 6 months old, so I'm not sure what the heck happened to them. But I'm glad I caught them so I didn't have an issue there out in the field. So with that, take care, and till next time.